After what many consider a successful draft for the Atlanta Falcons, there's buzz about whether Terry Fontenot might cap off the week by trading for Jalen Ramsey, the standout cornerback from the Miami Dolphins. Let's dive into this intriguing possibility. First, let's take a look at what the Falcons accomplished in the draft. They focused on bolstering their defense with their first two picks, selecting pass rushers before adding safety Xavier Watts. However, some analysts argue that this doesn't address the pressing need for a cornerback. They also picked up safety Billy Bowman from Oklahoma, who is expected to play in the nickel position, and offensive tackle Jack Nelson from Wisconsin. Despite these selections, many experts, including Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah, have criticized the Falcons' draft, suggesting they should have prioritized a cornerback earlier. Given that the Falcons didn't address this need in the draft, a trade for Jalen Ramsey could be a logical move. The Dolphins are still open to discussions, as their general manager Chris Grier indicated that they've been in talks with other teams. It sounds more like a matter of when rather than if a deal will happen. It's puzzling, though, considering the Dolphins extended Ramsey's contract just last September and he performed well last season. With the additions of Watts and Bowman, the likelihood of Atlanta pursuing Ramsey seems to diminish, but it's not entirely off the table. Watts and Bowman play different positions, and Ramsey is primarily an outside corner. There's been speculation that Ramsey's future might involve a transition to safety, which could complicate things for the Falcons, especially after drafting Watts. However, Fontenot might take a bold approach, thinking, why not go for a star cornerback? If the Falcons have a strong season, they might not worry about draft picks next year. If things don't go well, Fontenot could be out of a job anyway, leaving the next general manager to deal with the aftermath. Ramsey's connection with Raheem Morris, dating back to their Super Bowl win in 2021 with the Rams, adds another layer to this potential trade. Before we move on, I'd like to hear from you. Do you think the Falcons should trade for Jalen Ramsey? If you're in favor, show your support by liking this video. Personally, I'm open to the idea, but I'm also curious about what Ramsey's best role might be in 2025. If he's projected to play safety, then the Falcons' recent draft choice of Watts complicates things. It's a lot to expect from a rookie to step in and perform at a high level right away. If Ramsey is intended to play corner, what happens to Mike Hughes, who just signed a 3-year deal? Would they move Hughes to nickel and put Ramsey on the outside? These are the questions that need answers as the Falcons navigate their roster decisions. I don't think the idea of moving Jalen Ramsey to nickel is the worst option, but I have my doubts about how effective he would be in that role. As players age, they often lose some of their agility and quickness, relying more on their football IQ to navigate the game. Nickel cornerbacks need that quickness to keep up with speedy slot receivers, and I'm not sure Ramsey would excel there. If you're curious about the feasibility of Ramsey transitioning to safety, it's worth noting that many players have successfully made that switch later in their careers. Legends like Charles Woodson, Ronnie Lott, Ron Barber, and even Patrick Peterson have all transitioned from cornerback to safety with great success. While Peterson's move was more of a hybrid role between corner and safety, it still shows that such transitions can work. Looking at the top players who made this switch, Woodson, Lott, and Barber all had impressive careers filled with starts, interceptions, and tackles. So it's not uncommon for aging players to change positions, and if Ramsey is headed in that direction, it could make sense for the Falcons. However, the moves they made in the draft don't exactly scream we're going after Jalen Ramsey right now. Still, they don't completely rule out the possibility either. Now, let's consider what a trade for Ramsey might look like in terms of compensation. I'm thinking a 5th-round draft pick could be a starting point, especially since we're talking about next year's draft. There's also a significant financial commitment that comes with trading for Ramsey. The Dolphins might be willing to absorb some of that salary to secure a better draft pick, or the Falcons could reach out to Ramsey's agent to discuss a potential contract rework. This would mean Ramsey agreeing to take less money to join Atlanta, which might be his best option. I still believe Ramsey is a solid starting caliber player in the NFL, and I would absolutely support this trade. Sure, it might only be a 1-year rental, and the Falcons have already borrowed a future first-round pick and a 5th-rounder to move up in the draft for Xavier Watts. A year from now, I might regret saying they should pursue this trade, and I can understand why some might hesitate. but the potential upside of adding a player like Ramsey could be worth the risk. Imagine a defensive lineup featuring Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Terrell, and Mike Hughes at cornerback, with Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts at safety, and James Pierce and Jalen Walker coming off the edge. How can you not get excited about that? The Falcons have a real opportunity to shine in a winnable NFC South, which doesn't have any dominant teams. This could be the perfect chance to build a strong supporting cast for quarterback Michael Penix. Penix shouldn't feel like he's in a situation similar to Jacob deGrom on the Mets, where he's giving his all but receiving little support. The goal is not to have Bijan Robinson and London scoring 30 points a game only to see the defense give up 31, resulting in an 8-9 season. So ask yourself, does this defense improve with Jalen Ramsey? For me, the answer is a resounding yes. The challenge lies in finding a role for Ramsey now that Watts is at safety and Billy Bowman is moving to nickel. The need for a cornerback isn't as urgent as it once was, but the Falcons still didn't draft one, which could be a reason to pursue Ramsey. Just think about the impact of having Ramsey in the locker room alongside Watts and Bowman, with Jesse Bates and A.J. Terrell nearby. Those young players would soak up invaluable knowledge and habits from seasoned pros, laying a solid foundation for their development. So let's revisit the trade idea. Are you in or out? Personally, I'm in. If we're talking about a fifth-round pick, I say go for it. However, if the price goes up to a first-round pick or even a third-rounder next year, that complicates things. It would be tough to build a strong draft class for 2026 under those circumstances. But for a fifth-rounder, absolutely, why not? You'd be doing the Dolphins a favor by taking on some of that salary, even if Arthur Blank might be hesitant after recent financial moves. Now, Reed has a surprise for us, and I'm both excited and a bit nervous to see what it is. Oh, it's a duck race. Everyone loves a good duck race, right? I didn't pick the ducks, but I'm all in for the fun. If I could create a YouTube channel dedicated to duck races, I think it could be a hit. If done right, of course. As we watch the race unfold, it's clear that Preston has taken an early lead. This is a fun twist instead of the usual wheel spin. I noticed someone got upset about the 2 claps in the comments, which I find amusing. If it bothers you that much, just leave the video before I do my thing. With just 10 seconds to go, it's neck and neck, and look at that burst from the red duck. Congratulations to duck number 4, and to that special commenter who dislikes the 2 claps, this one's for you. 1, 2. I hope that was loud enough for you, and if you threaten to unsubscribe, I'll know it's you.